this episode, we're covering the Combat Hitbox component, the part of our system that turns an attack animation into a real gameplay event. The CombatCore opens attack windows, and when those windows are active, the Hitbox component takes over, running traces, detecting collisions, and letting us know when an attack has landed. By separating this logic into its own component, we keep the system modular and reusable across any character. The Hitbox component is a socket-driven sphere trace system. It works by sweeping between two sockets on the character's skeletal mesh, usually at the start and end of a weapon or limb, and checking for collisions along the path. It has a few important properties. Substep count, which lets us subdivide sweep between frames. This prevents fast swings from skipping targets. Already hit actors, a set that prevents hitting the same actor multiple times in one swing, and the on-hitbox hit delegate, which broadcasts whenever a new actor is successfully hit. This makes it lightweight but effective for melee combat detection. The life cycle of the hitbox component is simple but powerful. When the start hit detection is called, it caches the current attack data, resets the list of already hit actors, grabs the current socket positions, and turns ticking on. During tick, the component runs perform sweep, checking for collisions each frame. And when stop hit detection is called, ticking is disabled and the state is reset. This on-demand tick approach is efficient. We're only running traces while an attack is actually active. Let's talk about what happens inside perform sweep. Each frame, the hitbox component interpolates between the previous socket positions and the current ones. For each substep, it returns a sphere sweep in the world to detect actors. If an actor is hit, a few checks are applied. It ignores the owner, so you can't hit yourself. It ignores any actor already hit during the same sweep. If the hit is valid, the actor is added to the set and the component broadcast on hitbox hit, passing the hit result and the current attack data. If debugging is enabled, the system also draws spheres and lines in the world so designers can see the trace path, the socket positions, and the impact points. Now let's see how this ties into the player character. Inside begin play, the character binds to CombatCore's combat window delegates. When CombatCore broadcasts on combat window open, the character starts hit detection on the hitbox component. When the window closes, it stops detection. The character also binds to the hitbox on hitbox hit delegate. That function, handle hitbox hit, is where the real impact happens. It applies visual effects and sound effects from the weapon data, plays camera shake if configured, and most importantly, applies a gameplay effect to the target. So the pipeline looks like this. Input triggers an attack. CombatCore opens a window. Hitbox detects the collision. Player character applies the effect. When a hit is confirmed, the attack data tells us which gameplay effect to apply. By default, we use the PGAS GE melee damage effect. This effect doesn't directly define a flat damage value. Instead, it delegates the calculation to a custom execution calculation class. That way, damage can take into effect things like the attacker's power, the target's defense, or special gameplay tags. The melee damage execution calc class does the heavy lifting. Here's what happens when it runs. It captures the attacker's attack power and the target's defense attributes. It checks for special states like whether the target is invincible or currently blocking. If blocking, defense is multiplied for extra protection. It pulls the base damage either from the set by caller data or from the gameplay effect itself. Finally, it calculates final damage minus base damage plus attack power minus defense, clamps it at 0, and applies it as a negative health to the target. This design makes the combat system extensible. You can easily add crit multipliers, elemental tags, or conditional effects without rewriting core logic. Combat doesn't feel good without feedback. This is why the hitbox component also handles effects. Each attack type can reference a weapon data asset. From there, we spawn Niagara particle effects at the impact point, play hit sounds, and even trigger a camera shake for extra impact. This combination of visual and gameplay feedback makes it feel weighty and satisfying, which is critical in action combat. For development, we included a debug draw option in the Hitbox system. When enabled, you see green lines tracing the swing path, blue spheres at the socket positions, and red spheres marking actual impact points. This is invaluable for designers because they can visually tune socket placement, radius size, and swing timing without guesswork. To sum up, the Combat Hitbox component is what makes attacks meaningful. It translates animation into collision, applies gameplay effects, and provides both feedback and debugging tools. Together with CombatCore, we now have a system where inputs trigger, abilities open combat windows, and the hitbox detects and applies results. In the next episode, we'll move into Combat Block Component, where we'll see how defense mechanisms integrate into the system. If you found this content helpful, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps more people discover the channel. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell so you'll get notified when the next episode drops. See you guys later.